Hello, you're welcome to this discussion on principles of economics. Our lecture 3 deals on basic microeconomic concepts, and we'll be looking at four of them. One is the elasticity, the second is theory of production, then monopoly and oligopoly. Okay, now coming to elasticity, look at this spring here. This is the natural structure of the spring. Okay, but when we put a level of pressure or force, it can extend, and if we pull the force further, it can also expand more. And that is why elasticity is basically the ability of a distorted material to return to its original size and shape when the force causing that alteration has been removed. A material that behaves that way is said to be elastic. Okay, now elasticity in economics follows the same concept. If you understand that, then you actually understand the elasticity in economics. So it determines the ratio of change in the proportion of one variable to the another variable. Now, this is a variable, for instance, this spring. When we put a force that pulls it, that's another variable. So how much this spring is changing to that variable that is pulling it is elasticity. How much it responds to it. Okay, example, we have income elasticity of demand. For instance, if you have an income, okay, if your income increases, how much will the demands you make, how much will it increase? Okay, and then we have elasticity, price elasticity of demand. If the price of a product increases or reduces, how much will your demand behave in terms respond to that? That's the price elasticity of demand. And then we also have price elasticity of supply. Somebody is supplying you a product and suddenly the price changes, whether it increases or reduces. How much supply the person is able to make based on that change, equally it tells us about elasticity. Okay, now the second one is the theory of production. Production theory in economics actually refers to businesses, you know how businesses decide the quantity of output to produce in response to demand. Company can hardly be producing if there is no demand. Okay, so how much a company will decide to produce based on the demands tells us is the idea captured in this theory of production. The resources firm use in the production is what we call the factors of production, and they're also known as inputs. Okay, it's so the theory of production involves an efficient conversion of input into output. If you bring input, for instance, and you're a student in the university, we may consider you as an input. Okay, and then the lectures you begin to receive and all of that till your graduation. What you become after your graduation becomes the output the university has made. Okay, so we have that includes the issue of packaging, issue of shipping of products, storing, manufacturing. All of these make up what we call the theory of production. The next one is monopoly. Some of you know how to play that game called Monopoly. Now, under this theory, it has to do with the dominance of a single entity, in a particular field. For instance, in a country, uh, the cement industry in a country, if a particular firm has the greater share of the market, such that it can determine the price of the market, and the rest of the producers are just made up of fewer percentage, then there is monopoly in that particular product. Okay, so monopoly is product specific. A monopoly is a market structure with a single seller or a producer that has this dominant position that is able to dominate the industry. Okay, it is a market structure where a single entity has complete control over a particular product or service. Some time ago, in country like Nigeria, government was sponsoring the telecommunication, and they had this telecom, Nitel then. And there was no other means of communicating in terms of telecommunication. So they had this monopoly in the market. They decide the price. If you want the product, you collect at their price, otherwise you don't have it. Okay, until that market is deregulated and the private sectors began to come in. Okay, so that is all about monopoly. And then we talk about oligopoly. Now, when the private sector began to come in, we had companies like MTN, we had companies like Globacom, we had companies like Airtel currently, and then this threat seems to be dominating this market. Okay, now so oligopoly is a situation where smaller entity in the market dominates what happens around the market. They could connive, like some also doing telecom. They could connive and say, this is how we want this market to run. All right, so it's a state of limited competition. The entrance into the market is restricted. Okay, and then this smaller group of producers are actually the people determining what happens in the market. So to put it clear, an oligopoly is a market in which pricing control lies in the hand of few sellers, restricted market structure, and those few sellers determines what you will buy and at what price. And that is where we're going to stop this discussion for now. Hope you join us in the next class. Thank you. Cheers.